Something seems amiss. Except for me and two or three other white people, that place was entirely Hispanic. Likewise, the plastic molding place of Plano, that also has facility in Sandwich, but every face but mine. As to the distribution centers, migrant by majority, that it suddenly seems less random, their stark and almost total lacking presence from the abysmal Busy Bee, which place is definitely not a merely rural subterfuge for Asian infiltration and economic subversion and resource logistic. Like they're deliberately not there, but so that their fingerprint, their follicle, their scent, their impression, their trace, their mark should distinctly not be found at the Busy Bee, but so to separate their element from the equation of any inquirer. But which omission at the Busy Bee belays by absence, and binds the other companies against its void, like the unseen dimension, and as the baseline vine below Latin leaves of 3. In fact, now that I think about... Oh my holy God. And let me beg your pardon, but bear with me, for these things you gravely need to hear. Endure and do not veer. Take caution of the seer. I warn you here of near and present fear. Think mega-scale residential development during the whole latter half of the 20th century, and suburbia spreading on bacterial timetable. Think civic geologic laboratory and private global enterprise. Think small town subterfuge like endless canopy, and subterranean construction like an underground umbrella. Think subdivision engineering like strategic operation, and political ideology like like certain controls over cages. Think civil planning like standard procedure. Think extension of municipal plumbing apparatus and water diversion infrastructure and mortgage like religious capital. Think vast networks of passageways weaving underneath throughout great expanse of land wholly at volition's disposal. Think paramilitary playground and fortified fortress, industrial innovation and bulldozer from shovel and pickaxe, and manpower now exponential, and developing labyrinth of bunker tunnels since the fun of World War I, and how Freudian was World War II. Think secret crevices like thin fissure to the fault of great rock. Think Acme dynamite beneath every city block and fuses in the forest with Elmer Fudd. Think multitude of army ants. Think fire ants and red-hot rage. Think 60-mile semicircle radius westward around the nation's third largest metropolis. Think about the living body and the aqua-respirate geology of enormous landmass, and about the pivotal, pulsing heart of whole North America, situate pinpoint to the world with hydration, amidst both the great churning arterial flow of the Mississippi to start filtration away, and to the Coriolis effect above, and this place to its happy prospect, at the southwest corner pole that the Earth's rotation pours the vapor of enormous Great Lakes upon it. Think perfect geography and optimal coordination position. Think excellent strategic means to infiltrate and spread and plan and disperse and prepare and execute some tremendous climax to Great World War. Holliday's Lake is man-made and surrounded by a vibrant subdivision that bears the name of its artificial body of water, within which place two of strategically winding streets meant to prevent the vantage view of observers from without the private community. Upon its northernmost drive I grew up. Lake Holiday is fed of its water by the Salmonot Creek, a tributary of the Fox River. The Fox River is a 200-mile tributary of the Illinois River, and its banks, those of the Fox, run within a half mile of the Busy Bee to the south, and Emerald Thicket fills the separation. The Busy Bee is off Lake Holiday's southern end, and detached by less than miles plural of agricultural acreage. Sovereign Marble is just outside the northern extremity of Lake Holiday subdivision and some 300 yards south of Route 34, if that. Which historic US 34 runs east, Salmonock Sandwich, Plano, passing first the Plastics Molding Company, then the DC as one goes, then beyond that, headed eastward from there, Yorkville, Oswego, Aurora, an ascending ratio of migrant population along the way. And onto and off of which U.S. route, semi-trucks hauling long trailers full of freight, unassuming pretense rolling on 18 wheels. By all four of these businesses, the Plastics Molding Place, the DC, Sovereign Marble, and the Busy Bee, are received and shipped off all throughout the workaday. Sovereign Marble is less than a mile and probably perfect 90-degree right angle exactly west to the due north front door of my childhood home. And like the Busy Bee, it's separated, but over a much shorter stretch, from the backyard border of Lake Holiday by farmed field of combed crop. The Busy Bee spans south. Sovereign Marble, a shorter span north of Lake Holiday between. The most direct line that one might trace between these two places, Sovereign Marble and the Busy Bee, would span less than 3 miles as the tonner traveler traverses, and would run exactly through, or underneath, the heart of Lake Holiday subdivision, and right through the center of its man-made lake. So what? You may perhaps be thinking. Well, west adjacent to Lake Holiday's northernmost portion, just beyond, behind the backyards of the neighbors' houses, across the street, and around up a short little bend that cups my childhood home, starting not 3 throws of a stone away from my own childhood backyard, and I have bad shoulders. A trio of small berm quadrangle land tracts, property of Lake Holiday, upon which the subdivision's developers had originally planned to expand and build homes, but never did, is entirely entrenched by a linking border of rising rampart. In my experience, just a simple boy from Illinois, this militaristic feature is not uncommon among private countryside communities. I've seen several rural developments around here that are enclosed by earthen bulwark. They're explicitly meant, I'm sure, like in the land architect's dossier, let's say, to separate stretches of subdivision from busy state routes, which often run not far adjacent and parallel to the backyard perimeters, and happen to also protect the privacy of their private properties. The bulwarks that rhombus around and wholly surround the berms that are west of Lake Holiday's northern boundaries, they rise 10 to 15 feet above beautiful individual little ecologies of long wild grasses. When it's warm, this undisturbed fauna is congested with cardinals, orioles, and hawks, among other diverse, vibrant avian zoology. In recent years, members of the local Lake Holiday community affords walking trails along the tops of these ramparts, which brim bordering around the microbiome bird habitat upon which, within upon these berms. Throughout my whole last spring and half summer at Lake Holiday, around these high pathways of relaxing leisurely seclusion, I walked my dogs. Since years prior, the berms, or that is, their elevated rims, were officially designated by the Lake Holiday's Members Association and maintained for the convenient walking paths they proffered, as walking trails were a conducive application, if not happily agreeable, to the earthen infrastructure as it existed already in what had been its current state at the time of its designation, and as the land had otherwise gone unutilized before that theretofore. I had never made use of them, though, the berm trails, prior to that last spring,